All right, let's light this bottle rocket. Is that what they say? Oh, yeah.
No one else says it.
Welcome. Welcome, one. Welcome all to episode 26. You can't even count them in all your fingers and toes. Episode 26 of the Coin Jam podcast. We're all here, even though you can't see or hear Liam right now. There he is. Liam is here. Kay is here. Chance's feet are here. There we go. Chance's Bitcoin wallet has been demagnetized. What? And we are rocking and rolling. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that, buddy. I thought we talked about that before. That's right.
I was gonna put Jimmy Hoffa like location maps on the next one.
What about throwing a huge curveball here? What do you guys think about what they allegedly found under the Giza plateau under the pyramids?
What?
You hear about this?
I don't pay attention to the news. What was it? A Zaxxon?
So apparently,
better not be a Zaxxon.
Liam will have to give us a lecture on how this stuff works, but basically space-based synthetic aperture radar scanning the whatever what is it called? What's the stone? The bedrock under the pyramids, and there's all kinds of weird stuff that it's getting. So the
We're doing really well today.
I know.
I'll tell you this.
Mega structure would have a foundation.
Hey,
right?
Not just bedrock, all kinds of weird stuff going on.
Something to do with the Flintstones? I don't.
You know, it'd be interesting if it was a Zaxxon, that would explain the curse.
It's a Polybius. That's what it is. All right, we are rolling episode 26 of the Coin Jam podcast. As always, I am Charlie from Overtime Arcade, and I'm joined by my partners in crime, Liam, one half of Retro Robotics, Kay, 5/5 of Prime Arcade, and Chance, 3/8 of the Canadian Arcade, because sometimes there's I forget the third guy's name who's sometimes
Cody.
Yeah, sorry, Cody. Shout out Cody.
Cody's our touring guitarist.
Yeah, right. Is he also the paint guy?
Yeah.
Automotive paint guy? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
He's the one that, when Josh doesn't want to go on a crazy road trip, Cody will always say yes.
So he's like Shemp in the Three Stooges or the Two Stooges.
Yeah. That's good.
When you don't get Curly, you get Shemp.
You get Shemp.
Yeah. Okay.
Very timely reference, by the way.
Glad he's not watching today.
He's classic.
Who?
The
Shemp?
Three Stooges.
I think he's dead.
Timeless.
He's bald.
Timeless. Fun for all ages. My kids like watching it with me. I liked watching it with my dad. I'm sure he watched it with my grandpa back in the day.
And it's a really rare arcade game.
Immortalized in an exceptional arcade game with possibly the worst sound in any game ever made. Go check it out on MAME.
Oh, okay.
The sound effects are brutal, especially if you actually are playing a 3-player game. Brutal sound effects. Xevious is the music. It's really grating, right? But the sound effects in Three Stooges, brutal. Who do we have here in the live chat? We got a bunch of channel members as always. Mike JM, Arcade Alex, Arcade Maze, Random Billy Bob. We've got Encore's Arcade, who's been a channel member before. His must have expired. And we are off and rolling. How you guys doing? How's everything?
Good.
How have you been, Chance? You been all right?
I've been doing good. I've been bored. Literally all the projects around the house are either done or everything is working in my arcade right now. Knocking on that.
Until now.
We owe you a round of applause. Congratulations. You fixed a big problem with your battle zone, right?
Can we talk about that in a minute?
We can get to that. Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah, with all this time, you're spending it out in the workshop, right? Working on games nonstop, right?
Yeah, garage and basement, everything's clean, everything's organized. We have a couple of Canadian arcade videos that we put up recently. That's
what I want to hear.
We're doing good. We're doing good here. I'm just really bored right now.
As someone who has been doing YouTube a lot longer than I have, it shocks me when you release videos at 1 o'clock in the morning. YouTube gives you all of these metrics, all of these analytics, and tells you what time of the day on what day of the week your audience is there. Because what's the most important thing for views? Being at the top of people's feed.
No.
Yes, it is. It is.
Not for us. Not for us. The most important thing for the Canadian arcade is hail videos.
Severe weather. Other than that, it's you either want to be at the top of their subscriptions feed or the top of just their recommendations feed. Because what most people do, I do the same. You go to YouTube and you start scrolling until you see a video that you want to watch, and you stop scrolling and you watch that.
I know.
And then maybe you'll never get back and scroll any farther.
Have you noticed our title cards have gotten more interesting? Every single one. I'm taking a page out of some of the bigger YouTubers. Every single one of the newer ones is like me in the title card doing something kind of
swipe left.
Yeah. I'm trying to break people's screens one screen at a time.
Yeah. Okay, how about you? What's been going on?
You know, I fix Pac-Mans. I pay the bills. I pick up more Pac-Mans. I fix those too.
It's all about the Pac-Mans.
It's kind of a cycle.
Make it a joke.
But how many Pac-Mans have you not fixed this month?
Ooh.
I mean, there's a long queue of Pac-Mans I've not yet fixed.
So where do the new Pac-Mans go in that queue?
They go to the back of the line.
No, they don't. They go to the front
That's
of the warehouse. Your warehouse is a last in, first out. Not a first in, first out. Right? You push stuff in and it comes, it's like a stack.
There's so many mom jokes here. I'm just not.
These are all data structures if you guys haven't taken computer science courses.
I hear some of it from Josh on occasion. So yeah.
Okay. And Liam, what's happening? How's everything at Retrobotics?
No pickups, no videos.
Well, we're not getting to that. We're just bantering right now.
I've been working on general maintenance items. I went around and replaced the 3055s in all my Atari games a couple days ago, just to prevent
Pro tip,
maintenance.
And that's very important. Just to double click on that. Any of you, and it's not like lots of Atari games, all AR2s have them. Lots of other games have these 2N3055.
4.
Kix has 4, right?
Ooh.
2N3055 bottle cap transistors are power transistors. They're used in tons and tons of stuff. And they eventually go bad, right? Like most things do.
Yeah.
And when they go bad, they can, like, for example, on an AR2, send more than 5 volts on your 5-volt line and fry your PCB. So what you need to do is get rid of that ticking time bomb, replace it with a new 2N3055 bottle
with a
cap
ticking
transistor.
time bomb with a much longer fuse.
Yes, right. Very long, right? A half-life of maybe 20 years or something, right? And what you need to do is look at the date code, and it's a 4-digit date code. And the first 2 digits tells you the year that it was manufactured. And the second 2 digits, less important, tells you what week of the year it was manufactured, right? So if you see a 8114, that means that transistor was manufactured in the 14th week of 1981. And if you see anything older than the millennium, anything older than Y2K, replace it, right? Ideally, you want something made in the last couple of years. And there have been counterfeit.
Don't buy off of Amazon. Don't buy on eBay. Go to DigiKey. Get them from OnSemi.
Yeah.
DigiKey, Mauser, or arcadepartsrepair.com. If you're ordering something else, toss a couple in.
And this is the one time you don't use Octopart to source them. Like, use Mauser specifically, use DigiKey specifically.
There are fakes out there. Cool, people will like rub off the
buy a bunch of them because it gets a lot cheaper if you're buying them on DigiKey and you buy a whole bunch of them.
Yeah,
because buying one is like $6, but if you buy 10, they're $3 a piece.
Yeah,
so,
and now none of us can.
And you'll use them.
Everyone's going to go out and buy them.
I went through. I think it was over a dozen in a day, just putting them in games.
They're still actively being manufactured though, which is good.
Hardcore, dude.
I pulled every Atari game out. I realized that the Vector room is also the Atari room. All of our Atari games are in that one space.
Yeah.
So I was just pulling all the machines out and replacing 3055s.
I'm looking in your background there. I'm looking for Atari games. What about Centipede?
That's no longer there.
Oh, okay.
This is outdated, this image. Because remember, we got the Inferno back there now where Qbert is.
Oh, okay.
So
we got
all
to
the
update
Atari
that
games got moved.
Love it.
Look, arcade background for me, so that we all are.
Do you even own any video games, Chance?
Listen.
We got people in the chat saying they haven't seen any new Canadian arcade videos. You might have forgotten to hit publish, maybe.
No, there's 2 new videos in the last couple months.
Maybe. Josh Brown did pick up on my data structure reference. And we
Depot?
have Sam, aka Retro Reads, the other half, the better half, the greater half of
The
Retro
better half for sure.
That's
Yes.
right, you know.
See, I
And,
understood your FIFO and LIFO references. I dropped out of accounting class.
There you go. Stephen Wallard's here. And we are off
School.
and running. Okay. Chance, did you go to school for theater or like media or anything like that?
I was going to go to be a lawyer. And then at the
Oh.
very last second, I decided to go into the film world and took technical theater studies on the path to the film world.
I mean,
And
they're
then-
both based on lying. So
yeah. And then I left about halfway through my program at Red Deer College, and I took philosophy, psychology, and business. And then I did like 20 years of marketing and retail marketing.
And now you put arcade machines on Netflix.
Yeah. Because I used to be in a past life.
HBO.
Which HBO? Paramount. I used to be in a past life. I used to go around to medium and small businesses and like explain to them how to do logistics, how to do shipping, how to do their marketing, how to like rework their sales staff and like improve metrics and get better ROI.
There you go.
Yeah.
Critical KPIs for the client.
Mm-hmm. I don't do any of that anymore other than like
No.
consult here and there for friends, but that's it.
There you go.
100% film and semi-retired.
All right, we've got 4 viewers left, so we need to change subjects
Yeah.
here. John Mellon in the house. I think he's talking to you, Chance. Says, I do enjoy your shows. So every 2 or 3 a year we get from the Canadian Arcade. They are high quality. Delusional's Arcade in the house.
I would like to apologize to anyone who does watch Canadian Arcade. Due to popular demand, we no longer give refunds.
That's too bad. Okay, so remember last time we slightly changed our format. Rather than going around the horn multiple times before we ever got into our main topic, we only go around the horn once now with our standard updates. So why don't we start with Liam, who kind of gave it away a little bit already. Tell us, what you've picked up recently, what you're working on, latest videos that have been out on your channel. Give us the rundown on what's been happening at Retrobotics.
Picked up nothing. Worked on Atari games. And I've been working on Major Havoc for a while because it's got some reset issue that is driving me absolutely insane. You turn it on, it waits 4 minutes, it resets, and then it's fine. I don't know why 4 minutes seems to be
and
the
then never
magic
resets
number.
again?
Generally, no. It just, whatever problem happens 4 minutes in.
Is it ROM sockets?
It's probably sockets. Atari used the worst sockets on Major Havoc. For such an expensive game, even at the time, they cheaped out hard with the crappiest single wipe sockets I've ever seen.
So that's where Stern Pinball got it.
But I ordered some more sockets, so I'm going to try to just fix that, hopefully, when those get in. But for right now, it's playable-ish. I just have to eventually take the whole thing apart.
Can't you just spray like a ton of deoxit in there, like I did on my Ms.
Not a
Packboard?
ton.
No,
Like a whole can?
you're underestimating how bad these sockets are. I replaced a couple of them that were egregiously bad, and as I was pulling them off, the contacts just fell apart.
Oh.
They were just breaking off as I was pulling them out of the socket. Not even any like resistance at all, just falling apart. That's how bad it is.
Encore's Arcade in the chat. Suckets. Suckets. That's a win.
Sounds about right.
Oh.
Now,
That takes
Liam,
a lot to get on the screen with a comment if you haven't put super chat.
it's easy to mute Chance's microphone with a super chat, though. Don't forget about that. Now, Liam, there's also another important reason that you're trying to get Major Havoc, fully good to go. And why is that?
Just wanted to have an arcade party.
Well, also, it's the game of the week in our weekly tournament on the members only Discord. And I think so far it's only me and you that have posted scores.
Yeah, in between resets, I've been trying to play games.
As quick as you can. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Kay, what's going on? Tell us about this first in, first out queue.
So, I did pick up a few things recently. Actually, a couple days ago, I picked up a Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man pin. which makes the second one that I've got in the shop, because I've got one that's been sitting there for a while that I'll get to eventually.
Probably the most romantic video game themed pinball machine of all time.
Mm.
Sure, that and barbed wire.
It's not video game themed.
There's actually
Mike,
kind of a
hold on. Mike, who's been a channel member for 10 months now, which is awesome. I've met Mike in person a couple times. Mike has fallen asleep, so I'm sorry about that, Mike. Please, Kay, continue.
Notice how he did that when Kay showed up for his update?
Rude.
Oh, shots fired.
There's actually kind of a heartwarming story that was behind that pickup. I drove about 2 hours to go pick up that pen because I just answered I saw a Facebook marketplace ad that it was advertising an antique fridge and a pinball machine and something else, but the ad only had a picture of the fridge. It didn't have anything else. So I sent a message just like, hey, do you have any pictures of the pinball machine? And he sent the pictures, and it's a decent looking machine. I'm like, all right, I'm jumping in the truck. I'm on the way. And so I go pick it up, and he's also got a Charlie's Angels pinball machine there as well. And he's like, this one's not for sale. This one belonged to my dad, but it doesn't work. Could you repair it? And I was like, my repair queue is like a year or two out right now. I can't take on any additional repairs, but I'm here. I can take a look at it. Maybe it's something simple. I could at least diagnose it while I'm here. So we crack it open, and it's just got a bad power supply. It's just not outputting its voltages anymore. And I find a shorted coil, which is why it's blowing its solenoid fuse. And so I find the links on Marco Specialties for a replacement power supply and a replacement coil. It's like, just order these two things and throw those in there. You might have some other issues too, but these are definitely what you need to replace. And maybe you'll get lucky, and once you put these in, you'll have a fully working pin again. And he got super excited because his father had passed away like 25 years prior to this. And this had been his dad's like personal machine. And this guy had like childhood memories of his dad playing this game for hours on end. And apparently he had like a high score that would have been etched on the top of the back box. And he would put a small piece of tape on the plunger. That was his way of saying, hey, I just stepped away for a break. Don't touch the machine. I'm still playing. I'm getting a high score. Don't mess with my game. I'm coming right back. And so he was just really excited at the idea of getting this game to boot again so that he could hear the chimes, because that was just going to bring back just a slew of childhood memories. So the diagnosis took me all of like 10 minutes. But
what game was it?
Charlie's Angels. It's a Gottlieb
Charlie's
System
Angels.
1.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very early solid state, but it doesn't have a soundboard or anything. It's just chimes. But he's or maybe it has a soundboard. I'm not sure, but he's very excited at the idea of just being able to hear those sounds again. So it only took me 10 minutes, but it's going to bring back a lifetime of memories for him if he gets it going. So I was happy I could do that for him.
I wish we had some music queued up. We could play like Cats in the Cradle, that touching there.
I have a sound effect for this, but
are your tears welling up, Chance? It's all right. You can cover your face if you want.
I don't think that's the right song. Hold on. Wait. Wrong button.
Wait, I got it.
There you go. That's it. Well, you did a good thing, Kay. You didn't charge him for a house call, did you?
No. I was doing a complete. I just did it because I was there.
Why?
Yeah, I charged a mileage plus,
Your boss is going to be ticked.
I was there after
fee.
Hours, so it was, a time and a half overtime, whatever. I also picked up a week or two ago, I picked up some machines that I don't normally work on. I picked up some merchandisers, not a stacker, but like those kind of machines where it's like stop the light, you try to win a prize, like a little keychain or whatever. I picked
Gambling
up
for
4 of
children.
those machines. Yeah, I don't normally pick those up because they do not sell. And I those things you really can't even give away half of the time. But the price was right because they were free. And I just had to go get them, and they were in town. And I figured I would just part them out. If nothing else, I could use coin doors. I could use power supplies. Maybe just steal some parts off of them and then set them outside and let some other sucker come pick them up. But I actually ended up finding a buyer for them because they all worked, or at least mostly worked. I went through all of them and fixed them all in a day. One of them just had like it didn't have any sound just because the sound potentiometer was bad. So I just replaced the volume pot. That's all it was. And then other ones just had like a hopper jam or whatever. It was all very minor details. So I got them all
tired of recapping monitors, huh?
Yeah, this was all very simple stuff. So I got them all off the truck and fixed and done in a day.
Nice.
And I had someone come in and buy a couple of games, and he ended up buying all 4 of them at a cheap price. So I'm going to put card readers on there for them, but they've already all got a home too. So I'm glad I picked them up because they're huge. All 4 of them took up the truck by themselves. One of them is a whistle stop, and that thing's larger than it's like basically a giant crane machine. That thing is heavy. It's bulk. So I'm glad I found a home for him. I also traded for just a 16-1 cocktail, just one of those generic, builds. Took that in for store credit. I think those are the only things I've really picked up recently. As for stuff that I'm working on right now, I sold a large group of machines all at once to the Abilene State School, which is a very unusual place to sell machines to. That is a state school mostly for the mentally handicapped, and they are actually building a small building to put quite a few arcade machines in, and they want more. They bought 6 machines from me, and they want a few pinball machines and stuff like that too. And they think it's going to be beneficial for the residents to help with hand-eye coordination and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
What games did they buy?
So they bought mostly classics. They bought a Galaga and a Pac-Man, Asteroids, and then they bought a Speed Up, which is just a very simple sit-down racing game, and then a couple of multicades. They really want a Centipede. I had a Centipede when they started making the deal, but I sold it just before they made the deal. So they really want a Centipede, and they want a couple of pinball machines, and looking for a couple of other things too. So I'll probably end up selling more to them. So since I sold all that stuff in bulk, I'm working on refilling my showroom because they bought half of the showroom all at once. So most of the stuff that you're going to be seeing on videos coming up soon is me fixing stuff to refill all those holes that are now sitting in my showroom. So I've got an Asteroid Deluxe that I'm going to be working on soon. And then I'm going to alternate between putting stuff in the showroom and also taking stuff out of my repair queue. So I've got a Popeye and a Sega Turbo and an Area 51 that are right up front in that repair queue. They're going to be some of the next things that I'm going to be fixing up soon. So those are probably going to be the next things that are going to be on my list of stuff to fix. Latest content from my channels. I just put up a video yesterday of a couple of pins that I fixed. It was a Star Trek Next Generation and a High Speed. I sold those machines to the guy like 9 years ago, and so I got to revisit working on those again.
Were you cussing out the previous technician before you recognized your own handiwork?
No, there was very little wrong with them because it was done right the first time. The only thing that was wrong with the High Speed is one of the rivets had popped out from one of the targets, so it had moved a little bit and the ball got stuck behind it.
Oh.
So I just had to basically throw a zip tie in there so the target couldn't move anymore, because you can't really put a rivet back into place.
Well,
I didn't have a replacement for the target.
You can put a rivet back into place, but a zip tie is like in a pinch. It's
a field repair, and that's what I had on me.
Yeah.
So the Star Trek, we're going to order some replacement opto boards for the down in the trough that reads how many balls it has. It's not working very reliably, so it randomly just throws extra balls on the playfield all the time, and half the time you can't start a game because it's trying to locate the balls, so it's just shooting them out. and bringing them back to the out lane and then shooting them out again, and just in this endless cycle where it won't let you start again because it's keep trying to figuring out where all the balls are. So we're going to replace those, and I'll go back out there and revisit it. But I actually just posted a video, I don't know, 10 minutes ago. So don't go watch it right now. Wait till this is done and then go watch it. But a video I posted a few days ago, which I think is very interesting, is I just finished a repair on a very little known shmup called Wyvern Wing. It's a South Korean shmup from like 2001 or so. I'd never heard of it. So I took a little time to play it after I'd fixed it just to see what it was. And it's a very generic shmup. There's nothing really special about it. It's not bad, but it's fine. But what I thought was fun is when you get to the second stage, the background music was immediately recognizable. It's basically a MIDI ripoff of 2 Minutes to Midnight from Iron Maiden. It is a complete, like, note for note ripoff of it.
Really?
It is immediately recognizable.
How are they not? Well, it's South Korea, I guess I can't.
It's the South, like, it's so obscure, like, who's gonna know?
Yeah.
But if you go watch that video and you listen to it, like, it's immediately recognizable.
Apparently, according to the KLOV database, it is a common game with 22 known instances owned by Wyvern Wings collectors.
Really?
If you go on YouTube and look that game up, there's very few videos about it. There's like maybe 1 or 2 like long plays of it, but no one seems to know what that game is. No one's heard of it.
And it's probably a MAME long play, not original hardware. Right?
Yeah, I don't know how many boards are floating around out there, but it's not a game that anyone's like, oh, this is a hidden gem. You know, it's not something that's a board that's floating around. It's probably not that hard to find, but it's not anything that anybody's looking for.
That's from 2001.
Find another
I
early
think so,
2000s shoot 'em up called Mission Craft. I would be very interested.
Nerds.
So if you get a chance, watch that video and just listen to that clip because it's definitely
maybe you're going to get a copyright strike for even playing it.
I think if you Shazam it, it's different enough that it's not going to pick it up. But if Bruce Dickinson hears that, I'm probably going to get a phone call. Anyway, that's all I got
on your
going
door.
on, so. Yeah. Oh, you think he's going to come visit? That'd be cool.
Yeah, or he'll send some goons. Anyway, we got a $20 billion super chat donation from Delusionals Arcade. So I'm just actually going to kick Chance off the show entirely. Just kidding. This isn't to mute Chance's mic.
Perfect. Thank you.
Dell says, thank you, Dell. And by the way, Dell's Arcade representing. Dell says $20 towards the StreamYard watermark fund. And as you can see in the upper corner of the screen, it says powered by StreamYard, which is the platform that we use to do our live streams. And I think they just jacked up their price. So
who cares? Don't you want to see us in HD?
720 technically is HD.
Oh, whatever. Come on.
Yeah. Do you have a 1080p webcam?
Yeah, I've got a very nice webcam. I've got an iPhone 14 Pro as my webcam.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's from what? 2009?
It's like 14 Pro. It's like 2 years old. It was my old phone.
Did you buy it used?
No, it's brand.
All right, we got a couple. Thank you, Dell. We got a couple more folks here. White Fox channel member Yo Eddie says, "What's up, amigos?" All right, I think White Fox called you Bruce. I've never heard. I don't know. I think we ever made that mistake before.
No, he's talking about Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden.
Oh, yep. Okay. Chance, tell us. No, hold it. Well, first of all, should we not spoil this? Are you going to make a video about your Battlezone Vix?
No. I have already publicly humiliated myself on Clav.
And on Discord.
So
set the stage for us.
Okay.
Take us back. How many years ago does this story start?
I'm in trouble. So where do I start on this? I've had a long history with my Battlezone Cabaret. Yeah. when Big Bang. I've had a long history with my Battlezone Cabaret. I got it for like $200 from an operator up north. It was like basically a birthday present from my wife, essentially. And it's always had problems. Like, it's worked for the most part, but something always goes wrong with the monitor. One time it was the bottle caps. One time it was a high voltage. And then it was the power supply. And it's like, it'll work for like 6 months, 8 months, but then it'll just sit for like a couple of years. Right. So much so, like, I love that game. Like, I went out and I bought a Red Zone board for it because Battlezone 2 is phenomenally good. Arcade Jason's board is really good. But anyway, okay. So long story short, a year and a half, 2 years ago, tell them about our road trip where we filled my van to the roof with parts. That's where we got it. Actually, that's the day we got it. Josh is messaging in the chat about this. Yeah, when we went to pick it up north, we basically filled his van with parts, including the Battlezone. Anyway, I don't remember the rest of the story because that's a Battlezone. Oh, nice. I know someone who actually would want that.
They can have my crummy one. I bought this one, this is still not perfect, but this is a lot nicer than the one on my cabinet.
Is that the repro? Because I know.
No, this is real. This is legit.
Oh, okay. I know they were doing repros for a while back in the day.
Start button.
Oh, nice.
Weird start button.
So anyway, long story short, about a year and a half ago, I walked downstairs. Almost 2 years ago now. I walk downstairs. I turn on my games, and the Battlezone monitor doesn't come up, and I'm like, oh, like again. Like, what is it? The diode? Is it the bottle caps? Is it what is it? And so I'm frustrated. And I pull it out and throw it in the corner of the room where I
finally I put a flat screen in it.
Yeah. No, put it in the queue for repair because I had a couple of other projects in the basement in the way, and I'm like,
you put it in the dunce corner.
Put it in the dunce corner. Really, I took it apart. I did a couple of quick checks. I checked the voltage and everything, and that was it. Asked some friends. But I kind of just left it, right? Because I was so frustrated. Because if it wasn't one thing, it was another thing with this game. And I love this game. Like, it's a Battlezone Cabaret is adorable. Like, it is cabarets are the perfect size of arcade cabinet. I'll fight anyone who argues. Well, maybe
it's
Nintendo.
like midget wrestling. It's the best form.
Wow. Can you even say that word anymore?
I don't think you can say that anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
That's what it's called. That's what it's called.
I think you need to go on.
That is their word.
You need to censor yourself.
That's there. Yeah, you need to. Can somebody please add that to our show notes? One of the two of you for me, please. Okay, so on with the story because we're boring the crap out of people.
It's literally called Micromania Midget Wrestling.
Oh my! Stop justifying it.
And I celebrate it.
Yeah, sure. You just throw them at a giant Velcro target. That's it. Does that? I saw Wolf of Wall Street. I know how that works. So anyway, so I come downstairs and it's dead, and I'm just frustrated. So I throw it in line to work on it. I check a couple of power supplies and voltages and everything. And we got a little group chat here in Calgary of the local Calgary collectors, our little collective. There's about 7 or 8 of us. And I said, my buddy Adam, I was like, hey, it's not working again. Like, when you're free, can you just give me a hand? And he goes, check the voltages. It's got to be a power supply thing. So I go and I take my multimeter, which every single arcade person should have. And I'm never going to. We've run into that so much lately where it's like, hey, my game's broken. Put your multimeter up to it. Oh, I don't have one. Anyway, so I put my multimeter up and I check all the fuses and everything and just kind of get frustrated because all the fuses are good and I walk away. About a week ago, I get to the point where I'm like, you know what? Like, I've got nothing else in the basement and I'm motivated. Like, let's go. Every other project in my house, save for a couple in my garage, are done. And like, Nibbler and X-Men in the garage, and that's it. But everything else is done. Okay. So I think, you know what? I'm going to shout out on the Discord, like, hey guys, like, I sat down with it for like half an hour, checked all the voltages, recorded everything, tested all the fuses again. Hey guys, not working. And then in conversations with some of the members on the Discord, I realized that I had this entire time been checking the fuses inside the fuse holders. And the one fuse that was blown on the Atari power supply is basically just the heater for the vector monitor and the bulbs in the coin door. So it's one big loop. So of course you're going to get continuity when you put your multimeter up to it. So legitimately, just out of the blue, I was like, because I was looking at the schematic and I like pulled the fuse out and I tested it. I'm like, no, No. And I tested it again, and I was like, legitimately, after like almost 2 years of just sitting in my basement, it was just a fuse. Like,
How long you been in this hobby?
12 years. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was so frustrated. So now it's back in line. It's working. And to celebrate,
that emoji matches the color of your hat, by the way. It's perfect.
Thanks. Yeah. To celebrate, because like, I don't know if you've seen any of our videos lately. I've got this big pod of games in the middle. I played because I had that pod on because the Battlezone sits at the end of that row. I played every single game in that row, and actually on almost all the games, I spent like a couple of hours playing everything. At least 1 credit on every game. I put up new high scores on half of my games.
Impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you. Anyway, so that's the Battlezone. Battlezone is now working. Everything in my basement is now working. And my little whiteboard, the only thing, the Ms. Pac-Man that we've talked so much about in the last little bit. The Ms. Pac-Man is now done, ready to go. I built a new backdoor for it.
New favorite game.
No, God, no. Only if it makes me money. It's ready to go on location. So I just basically got to load it into the Acadia, which is now also working, and take it down to the bar. Yeah.
All you care about is the money.
You're
not in it for the love of the game.
No.
Well, clearly, he's got a bunch of cabarets.
Yeah. Actually, I only have 2 cabarets.
So Sam's talking trash about cabarets, Liam, if you saw in the live chat. So is that why you're getting rid of what's the name of the game? The spy game, the little one?
Spy Hunter?
No, the little guy that Liam has.
Oh yeah, no, because I don't need it anymore. I've got a better project for Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger. Right. Yeah, the little guy. Oh.
Because it's like a 3/4 scale cabinet or something like that.
Cloak and Dagger is best served in a Williams cabinet.
No, I have another idea for it.
Meant for Defender conversions mostly. I think.
Yeah. Cloak and Dagger is best served in a Defender.
So you're going to put it in a Defender, Liam?
No, I'm not going to put it in a Defender. It's going in an Atari cabinet, but not a Crystal Castles cabinet.
Okay. All right. Wayne, please don't send me any links for that. Thank you. And congratulations on I thought you said almost fixed a 6-year-old TV.
No,
Josh. I was gonna say congratulations on almost fixing something, but you said also not.
Sorry,
almost.
I need to call that out too. Josh and I learned a couple of a new skill set. We ended up fixing a 1965. He'll put the name of it in the chat. An old tube TV like that runs on vacuum tubes, a little black and white. We hooked a Super Nintendo up to it. Like, it's great. It's one of these big wooden things with the sliding shutters on the front. We had a
you gonna put it in a computer space?
No. We had a movie reach out to us that's filming up north of us in Edmonton, and they were like, "Hey, you guys like help us with arcade games all the time. You guys are playback guys. Like, would you like to take a look at this TV?" And I'm like, "All right, cool, bring it on over." And Josh and I basically sat there and we kind of went through it with the multimeter, and sure enough, it was one of the tubes, and then it turned out to be the socket and a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, fixed it, did some wood repair on it. It looked amazing. So the record player doesn't work anymore. But yeah, I was pretty happy.
You need a new needle. That's what you need.
The cartridge is there, but something else is wrong with the motor, and the AM/FM radio didn't work on the other side. But honestly, we didn't care. It was still cool that we got to like work on this 60-year-old black and white. So yeah,
there you go. Everyone's grandma had one of those growing up.
Yeah,
Marconi. At least I did. Yeah.
It was a Canadian Royal something from Marconi. Yeah, nice. There's like no documentation of them online, basically. So
we got Jerry Voluptuous checking in with a $999 million super chat donation. Jerry says, "Just got home. What I miss? You missed a story of toil and trouble. Chance spent 2 years trying to fix Battlezone Cabaret, and it was just a fuse."
Yeah.
Jerry, can you believe it?
But I didn't spend all 2 years of that on there. I just kind of like shoved it in the corner under the rug.
Shows of complaining about Battlezone Cabaret.
You're not wrong.
Jerry, it was just a fuse.
I'm in danger.
Not anymore. You got it working.
Yeah, good point.
So as for me, let's see. Still no pickups yet this year, and we are rapidly approaching the end of March. No pickups in Q1. So for my critical KPIs chance, they're not looking good. However, I still do have 2 pickups pending. These I'm getting in trade, and they're just like whenever I want to, whenever I've got room, I can go grab them. I'm looking at what the heck? I'm looking at. Did I edit? Hold on. I'm looking at. Oh no. Okay, never mind. I messed up my notes. I did a bunch of. I picked up a bunch of PCBs and I tested them, and some of them worked. Choplifter. I'm getting a. I think it's a SRAM error, but everyone says that you can't trust any of those tests. So I'll be working on a Choplifter PCB at some point. I got a last mission that was actually donated to me by Craig. I think Craig Olaf is his username on Clav. That was actually a really fun vertical scrolling shooter. The sound doesn't work, but I'm guessing it's probably the sound amp on the PCB. So I bought one of those. I just picked up 2 Sega System 16 PCBs, 2 of the better known ones. I'll be doing a video with those soon, maybe like a double feature video. I'm negotiating to buy another PCB that I've wanted for a long time, a MVS Neo Geo cart that I've wanted for a while. And believe it or not, I missed a week of videos. I went a weekend without releasing a new video, and it kept me up, and I hated every second of it. I was fighting with an asteroids for 2 weeks. I think I mentioned all of a sudden one day it wasn't working. It was starting up, it was booting, it was drawing the correct vector objects, and they were just starting to animate, and then it would reset, almost like a typewriter would go back, right? And so I turned it off and didn't run it for a month. And when I went to go work on it, and I was setting up to do a video, and I figured this would be a relatively easy thing, probably some voltage issue, maybe the voltage just needed to be adjusted a tiny bit, or
just a fuse.
Big Blue. A fuse probably wouldn't cause a problem like that, right? Unless it's like maybe like loose in the holders. I don't know.
Your video did inspire me to go down and look at it. Like that's literally that's what it was. The kick in the butt was.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could be an inspiration to you.
Yeah.
But then when I go to start the video and I'm like, and this is what it's been doing, it was doing something different. It was watchdogging. So like nothing was coming up on the screen. It had the spot killer light on the chassis, and these player 1 and 2 start buttons were just blinking, right? The red lights were blinking. So I went through the whole sort of, process and, disconnected everything and tested the, fuses and, the connections from the transformer assembly to the AR1 board, because it's an asteroids. I tested the voltages on that. Everything's good. And, I still can't figure it out. It passes the test mode, right? So there's a built-in self-test. Put in, hit the switch to put in test mode, boot it up. It was passing all the tests. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And so I busted out my brand new to me FPGA cat. So a modern FPGA replacement for the cat box, which originally was called like computer assisted troubleshooting or computer assisted tester. This thing that Atari released, you could hook up to your PCB and it would emulate the processor and like try, test all commands and do all this stuff. Very, very useful tool, but super expensive now because they only made so many of them. And Fred Cawthorn, FCawth, on the cloud forums, he has a modern FPGA reproduction, which is super awesome. And I was running RAM tests and ROM tests, and it was passing everything. I'm like, what's going on? Ultimately, and I haven't done a video about this yet, but it's working. And it was John, Overtime Arcade channel member, Kawaru5. He kept like prodding me, like, hey, go and just keep pressing on different parts of the board, try flexing the board and seeing if that does anything. And I'd done some of that already, and it really wasn't doing much. And, with his prodding, I went and I kept doing it over and over again. And I discovered because of that, I could very reliably get it to come out of watchdogging and boot up when I pressed really, really hard on the middle ROM chip of the 3 ROM chips. So that suggested a bad socket or a marginal socket. And sure enough, fixing that fixed it, right? So initially, all I did was reseat it really, really well, and it would work. But every once in a while, it would reset, like sort of like what Liam was describing. You play for a couple minutes.
Sockets pin?
Yeah, the sockets. Yeah. And then I did what Chance suggested. Was it Chance? Said, put a whole. Well, he suggested this now, so you didn't inspire me. You're just reading my mind. I put a bunch of deoxit, like the pure 100% deoxit that comes with the little needle applicator. So I put that in there, and that made it a little bit better. But it would reset like maybe a couple times an hour. And the way I would test this without having to watch it constantly is I would play a game and finish and have the like it puts in the corner the last score you got, right? Not necessarily the high score, but just the last score of your game. And I would let the thing just run. And I would check on it periodically and see if that score was still there or not. Because if the game resets, that goes to 0, like as in you haven't played a game since last boot. And so to fix it, I was going to replace that ROM socket, but I said, no, I'm too lazy to do that. I had a high score save kit from Brazington, a Braze high score save kit for like 2 years. Like I bought it when I got the game and I never installed it. And that kind of acts as a ROM saver. Like it replaces the ROMs. There's a single ROM that has all the code, and it's been modified to save all 10 high scores. And all you have to do to install that is, unsocket the CPU, put the CPU into the high score save kit, install that back into the CPU socket, and you're done. And it's perfect. It's great. And it's been running nonstop. No problem.
Doesn't it also need a pokey because it's an Asteroids, not an Asteroids Deluxe?
So it's not a multi-kit. It's just a high score save kit.
You are a horrible custodian.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You know what the problem is.
I fixed it
very easily.
I fixed it.
You band-aided it with a high score save.
I upgraded it.
Someone down the line is going to inherit that game from you eons from now.
Why would they get rid of the high score save kit?
And want to take the high score save kit out because maybe they're more anal retentive about originality than some.
And if they are,
and they're going to pull it off, and it's going to be like, what's wrong with the game?
And if they are, they can have the enjoyment of replacing that ROM socket.
Not his problem.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Another thing I like about that cabinet, it is so small. The Asteroids Cabaret in particular is so tiny.
They're tiny.
I was able to put that in the back of my truck and close the tonneau cover on it. That's how small it is. No, not standing upright. The tonneau cover closed on it.
But be honest with me, like there's not a lot of cabarets around here. Okay. There's something just so charming about a cabaret. Like one of mine is the Make Tracks with the speedy chip, and it's got like 430 plays on it. That's it. It was one of those ones that was found in like the sea can out in like the Vancouver area a number of years ago with all the Robotron cocktails, I think. And just something about it, like the games, like me, but that cabinet has so
Walter
much
Day's
charm.
favorite game, by the way.
I think we talked about this last time. Yeah,
I got to say it every time you mention it.
Yeah, but there's just so much charm about cabarets. Like I don't know why anyone would hate on them.
You lose a lot of artwork, though.
But
you lose artwork. You lose the coolest parts of the game, like Battlezone, the coolest feature of the game.
No.
That is immersive.
But okay, but hear me out.
The Herpscope.
The Robotron Cabaret is as nice as, if not arguably in some ways better than the Upright.
No.
How is it better?
Well, okay, let's get one thing out of the way. The cocktail is garbage comparatively, even though that they're uncommon. Okay?
I've never seen a Robotron cocktail in real life.
I have. Anyway,
I've only seen a handful of Williams cocktails on location.
Here's how it's better. A, the prototype is a cabaret. The Robotron prototype is a cabaret. The gray and black. Yeah, but it's still really nice. And B, you can move it around and you still get the those little like Wells Gardner monitors in the Williams cabarets they're just so charming. Like there's something about a cabaret game. Like who was it? Was it Todd Tuckey that just collected all the cabarets he could?
Yeah.
And trim lines and all that stuff.
Some people collect really weird things.
And it's the same thing with all of my bar height cocktails, my Atari bar height row. Tempest,
Let me
Asteroids,
pitch something to Liam and
Warlords.
Sam.
Yeah.
You know what would be really cool for the middle of your main arcade room? A trimline cabinet, like the standing cocktails.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Like
That's what we got
upright-
Space Duel for. It's right in the middle of our arcade room.
Exactly.
Space Duel is in the middle of our.
Yeah, but it's not a standing one.
Because we like to sit.
Yeah, but
I know, but like
crank the legs up on that thing. Like our buddy Adam has a Space Duel.
You're missing the point of a table game is that you can sit at the table and drink tea.
No. You can walk up to it and like lean over on it. It's just better.
People leaning on my games.
Yeah, all right.
I would love
to
have a carnival trim line. I'd get rid of the upright in a second.
I would love to gut one and make a sheriff cocktail or trim line out of it.
Was it the same cabinet?
Yeah. There's only one. It was the prototype. It was in the Sega. Yeah.
Look, I think cabarets are great when it comes time for me to deliver a machine.
Right?
Yeah, they're
so much
only
easier
good
to
when they're
move.
leaving.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
taking it up or down my basement stairs is the best thing in the world.
I don't do stairs.
Well, I have to.
It's part of my contract.
Yeah.
It's in every ad. It says first floor only, no stairs.
And your boss is okay with that.
Anytime someone's like, "Hey, it's got to go up a flight of stairs," I'm like, "Okay." So I will take it to the base of the stairs, and then it's your problem. And then once you get it up there, I'll set it up for you.
So I going back to the upright thing. I abolished all sit down games in my basement. So upstairs here, just outside of this room, I've got a big loft area, and I've got a sheriff and a Hellfire cocktails, sit downs with like the Nintendo embroidered stools that I have. And downstairs, I got rid of everything that's a cocktail. I got the leg extension kit for my red tent, and then I put all of my Atari cocktails up on the highest they could go. In fact, I even went so far to trade, because the legs on the old Atari cocktails fit with the bar height legs. They're the same width. So I was able to trade with my one buddy a set of millipede legs for my Asteroids cocktail. So now I have like the Asteroids, the Warlords, and the Tempest all at bar height. And even my Rockola, not mine, the Rockola armor attack that I'm basically holding on to until Brian from Paradise Arcade tells me he wants to put on a pallet and ship it to him. That thing's at bar
Brian,
height.
if you're listening, do a run of Chicken Shift kits. Thank you.
Brian, please do it. Yeah, actually, that's a really good idea. That's a great.
In fact, I got the extender so long that they're in the basement, but you can play them from the first floor.
That's how you handle the stairs.
Sitting down.
Yeah. But no, like if I don't have to have like stools floating around my arcade, like I have some milk crates downstairs. So like my friends bring their kids over, they can stand on the milk crate and play games, which is fine.
Yeah, no kids allowed. That's how
You're
you
supposed
fix
to
that.
return those to the dairy. That's a crime.
The kids?
No. You buy them at
Those two.
we buy them at the film supply store. We have
You can buy kids at the film supplies.
no. What do you? Yeah.
You know what they say about Hollywood.
Where do they get
Yeah.
their labor? I mean, someone's got to make
So-
sense.
Anyway,
after-
moving on.
After I fixed my Asteroids, the next thing that I was going to work on was my Tempest, also a cabaret. That one actually had gone down before the Asteroids, but I figured, hey, Asteroids would be easier and faster to fix. Boy, was I wrong, because when I go to turn on the Tempest to fix it, guess what? It's working. It's working fine. And I've had it running for several hours. However, like several hours, several times, right, since I discovered that. However, this evening, I turned it on, had it running for about half an hour or so. And just before showtime, I noticed that the image was frozen. And I've never seen a Tempest do that before, right? It was almost like the game was paused in the middle of attract mode. Have you guys ever heard of this?
Havoc do that.
Havoc, you've seen Havoc do that?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was an accident. I accidentally pressed the button. I didn't mean to laugh at you.
So the way Tempest had failed before was it was watchdogging, right? And now after running for some period of time, it froze. So I turned it off, turned it back on, everything was fine. Maybe there's some sort of marginal voltage somewhere.
I've seen that happen where it gets basically stuck at an instruction and just stays there. And the vector generator keeps repeating the same thing because the main processor is stuck. So
And the image is just frozen. It's like you hit the pause button.
Yeah. So that's probably gonna be, I'm guessing, a socket.
That's what everyone says.
Go press on the board.
Still working on the Star Wars Ampliphone monitor for Mark, and still testing more flybacks for Arcade Parts and Repair. I'm happy to report, I think I might even mention this last time, that the repro for the 13-inch Geo7 FBO looks like it's pretty good.
Nice.
So I've got some others to test too. All right. So with that out of the way, we can get into our main topic of the evening. And this was actually suggested by a couple of Overtime Arcade channel members, including Wayne Sylvester, producer Sean Kirkshank, and Frog Puppet. And basically the idea of this is, how and when to admit that you have a problem, that you are an addict, right? I can stop anytime I want to. I just don't want to. The dark side of arcade collecting and restoring. So let me just throw some word association or whatever things out to you guys. You can sort of see where this takes you. How do you decide, or when do you know that it's become too much? How do you make those hard decisions on whether to keep a project that's been lingering for a while, or move on from it and sell it or trade it? How do you make room when you have too many projects and there's some shiny new thing you want to bring in? When does collecting become hoarding? So I'll just preface this with myself by saying I went and I counted, and I currently have approximately 32 project cabinets in my garage, which is a lot. Technically 33, because one of them is not mine, and 2 more on the way. And I'm not even counting the little mini service amusements cabinet that I did at an April Fool's Day episode. So maybe there's 35 in my garage, plus 2 more coming. Plus I have 4 loners.
What?
That's as many games as I have total.
Why?
Plus 2 more coming. Plus 4 loners.
Charlie. Okay, look. I gotta know.
That's a low number. It's nothing.
Yeah. You're a business. You have a reason for projects, but Charlie, where does this come from? Is this Josh says
I was in love as a child.
Yeah, fair. That says a lot about you. Josh
can't leave me.
This is how I self-medicate.
They can't judge me either.
Just suck it to my vein. Josh says this a lot, and he jokes about it, but I think it's true that there's a fine line in the hobby, between a hobby and a mental illness. Right? At what point does
I don't understand?
Are you trying to stage an intervention? Is that
you can't diagnose a hobby.
I don't have a big banner. We can't do the intervention. But listen, okay, there's a fine line. But at what point does on that end of the spectrum of this topic, at what point does the FOMO, the fear of missing out on that project because you'll never see it again, so I'm just going to add it and I'll put it in the pile and I'll get to it one day. At what point?
When am I ever going to find a Space Invaders Deluxe again?
But at what point does that turn into mental illness, or just hoarding, the bare bones of hoarding?
So I blame my enablers. All right. Liam,
don't look at me.
And Sam and Dilweg dragged me to a warehouse in the middle of West by God, Virginia.
Oh, don't pass the buck.
Dragged you.
Don't pass the buck. Liam, back down. I got you. Don't pass the buck on that.
I only found the place. You dragged yourself.
Listen, you lift that into the vehicle yourself. You're the root cause of the problem.
No, Sam helped me. Sam helped me load the trailer.
There is a legitimate answer to that question, because you're saying, the difference between that and mental illness. He is going to get to these things eventually, though.
Why
because it's not hoarding, because he does do these things. These don't actually just pile up.
I have a 5-year plan.
These things don't pile up and never get
does your
trapped.
5-year plan account for more games? What's your queue?
He does fix these things. They do go out the door eventually, or they do join the collection. They don't actually just pile up and grow in number and nothing ever happens to them.
Why are you defending him? If he quits the hobby, you have so much more inventory.
I'm not going to go up there and get them. They're out of my reach.
Fair.
I'm trying to go to
I have no dog in this fight.
Oh no, it's not. It just doesn't. You have to do www. Thanks, Macklemore.
So maybe it just. I don't know what this says about me as a collector. I don't.
Oh, hold on. My wanted list. Here we go. Black Widow, Dig Dug, Gravatar, Guzzler. But that's PCB only. Guzzler. Ice Climber, Ice Cold Beer, Major Havoc, Marble Madness, Mario Bros. I didn't buy one today. I could have. See, I'm doing better. Millipede, but just a board. That's
You can
just
say
a
no.
board. Paperboy Reactor, Roller Games. That's the only pin I want.
Okay.
Solar Fox, but I can go to Liam and Sam's to play Solar Fox. Space Dungeon, Spy Hunter Cockpit. That's number 1. Swimmer, Tax Scan, and Track and Field.
Okay, that's all well and good, but how many of those 35 games that are in your garage actually were on your wanted list? When you
exactly. How many do you just see and it's like a moment of
always
opportunity?
wanted an Enigma 2.
I
always wanted an Enigma 2.
But no. But
He said that since episode 1.
How many times do you let's be honest with us? How many times do you just see a game and it's like dirt cheap Josh prices and you're like, oh, it's $50. I'm all over that. I'm there.
You're
Elbows
just
up.
leaving money
let's
on the
go.
table if you don't. Do
If this is a complete game for $50, I'm taking it.
Look, if you don't take it, some other guy's going to pick it up. He's going to turn it into a 16-1,
Right.
and you're just ruining a classic. You are
Okay,
saving
And they're
money.
going to
That's
rip somebody
different.
off.
But
I'm just going to use it as trade fodder.
But if
for
it was a
something that I
complete
want.
game, it wouldn't still be a project because it would be low-hanging fruit and you'd put it in your collection. I'm talking about all the cabinets that you have in your garage and in your possession that are like hundreds of dollars of parts and hundreds of dollars of artwork and time away from actually being a respectable, playable, original game.
I mean, other than the Leicester, Virginia warehouse raid games, right, which are a disaster. Let's see. Most of these are working projects. So
shut up.
I don't know. This is the first time I've ever actually like openly got to criticize somebody because I know you can take it.
You've never done it before, ever.
No,
ever.
but like okay, I get in a lot of trouble for my opinions sometimes in this hobby.
Really?
Yeah.
You?
Banned off of the BYOAC. Don't know how that happened.
You rage quit.
But it stems from anyway, long story. So I can't, it doesn't, okay. I've got my list and I've been very particular. Maybe there's been one or two things that have shown up. Like Josh was getting rid of his 1,000-mile rally. I'm like, I love that game. It's so much fun. I don't remember that game from my childhood, but I knew about it through, our exploits with the channel. So like,
but you're making the argument that you're a hoarder. But you're a selective hoarder.
No, I'm not a hoarder at all. Okay. There's a fine line, and sometimes it's loss aversion, right? It's called loss aversion.
FOMO.
Sure.
Yeah.
You feel you put more weight behind something if you have it than if you don't have it. Anyway, the way I look at it is there's games on my list and those are my focus. If something shows up and it falls into one of those categories, like this Ms. Pac-Man showed up. I never wanted a Ms. Pac-Man, but if I know I can get it, put a couple of hours into it and put it on location and make some money, great. Now I own a Ms. Pac-Man. A little bit more respect for the game, right? But do you have any idea how many pieces of burnt out garbage show up on Facebook Marketplace that I could have over the last 15 years brought into my collection?
Or Kijiji.
Sure. Yeah. But the point is I would really like an answer. I don't understand why some people just everything, take it. It's your money, spend it. But what are you hoping to accomplish? The whole genesis behind that thread on Clov, I need that part sitting on your shelf, 50% of it is just because people hoarded those parts, and that's great. The other 50 is it's a spare, I've got extra, but it doesn't make sense to me.
I mailed out parts today to a friend of mine that I had been hoarding.
Okay, stop.
I'm not hoarding stuff for myself,
but
I hoard it for others as well.
Okay, you're welcome.
I'm a curator of this stuff.
I don't know.
Caretaker.
There's so much stuff that I've seen show up locally in the last 15 years that it's I could have gone out and got it. I could have fought that fight and been there first and got that. But really, at the end of the day, it wasn't on my list. It wouldn't bring me happiness. It wasn't something that I learned was going to be an interesting game over time. And I was very selective. That's why when like people ask, like, oh, do you make, like, people who don't know, when they find out like I'm in the arcade hobby, they're like, oh, do you make them and then sell them? It's like, no, I make them. I keep them in my arcade. I enjoy them. I have them for friends to enjoy. But I don't go overboard.
I could have bought a Mario Brothers today that's converted to Bionic Commando, and I didn't.
Why?
See, the man can say no.
Why?
Thank you. And you guess what, pal? Right? I didn't because
thank you, and F you.
I am becoming more discerning when it comes to deconversion projects, because I have really I like deconversions take more of an investment, time and effort, right?
Okay.
If this was a complete non-working Mario Brothers for the price that I could have gotten for, I would have jumped right on it. But
So
because it
you're
was a
telling
deconversion, it was missing all of the artwork. And it was basically is Bionic Commando Jamma is basically a jamified cabinet with a 20 EZ.
So how long have you had this new policy?
It's developed over, as this spreadsheet has gotten longer.
Okay, so what percentage of that spreadsheet of the games that you have that are project cabinets would have not shown up in your garage if you had adopted that policy from day one?
If this was 5 years ago and I had like 10 games, I would have bought that Mario Brothers today. But now that I've owned over 60, it's not.
There was a time, Charlie, where you and I had a similar amount of games.
Wow.
We still do. I would still.
You have more than double.
But hold on. There are levels, right?
I'll tell you when I've had enough.
There are people with small collections, and small collections is literally just like a couple of games.
Look,
right? And that's a micro collection. And then there's a small collection, which is maybe 5 to 10, right? I would say the three of us, except for Kay, because Kay is a business, right? We have medium-sized collections.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would say medium-sized collections is like 25 to maybe 75 is a medium-sized collection.
Yeah, 25 to, I was always thinking 80, 90. Yeah.
Yeah. 75 to a little bit over 100 is a large collection. But Liam, you and I have visited and multiple times been to people who are mega collectors.
Yeah.
Like these are people that own 300 games or more.
Yeah.
In a private collection. Not open to the public. They don't do it as a business. This is for their personal enjoyment, guests only, just their friends. That's it.
What's your point?
And I wish I that's what I aspire to.
Like,
if I won Powerball,
one of these days, Dallas.
if I won Powerball,
one of these days,
I wouldn't tell anyone, but there would be signs.
It takes a lot for someone like me to say this, because I feel very lucky with the situation that I am, with how, I wouldn't say lenient, but how accepting my wife is of my hobbies. But your wife, the fact that you are married with kids, plural, kids, yeah, and a full-time job. How old's your youngest?
Plus?
Yeah,
6.
6. Okay, so 6 years old, youngest. Your wife deserves the medals, all the medals. For putting up with you. Don't cheer for that.
All the time.
When
I was out of town with one of my kids last weekend. I got 3 kids to myself this weekend.
So when do you sleep?
She gets the gold. She gets the gold, but I'm on the podium too.
Wow.
He places.
She's far and away first place.
Like that meme.
Far and away first place.
That meme where it's like the guy like
champagne,
with the champagne and like holding and he's like 3rd, 5th down on the podium. But
Jerry knows what's up. Jerry Voluptuous knows what's up.
But like, okay, we have it pretty good. right? Like we have heard it a million times. We've complained about it a million times when somebody says, you know, like you post a new game on Clav or on Facebook and they're like, oh, I'd love that, but my wife won't let me. I don't want to get down that path because there's some questionable arguments that could be had in that statement. But like for you, man, like when I come home with a new game, Vanessa doesn't care. She's like, oh, okay, cool. Like he's happy. That makes him happy.
When I
you come home with a new game, like what happened?
Open book, and I'm very proud of how little I have spent on these games. My average cost has been $184.
Yeah, and that's fair. You're lucky enough with your area to be able to have that. Not everyone has that.
Yeah.
Right? I think the moral is you're lucky, and we should all strive to have that.
Well, again, what I strive for, and Liam will back me up. Liam, and I know Liam feels the same way because I've seen the look on your face, and it's the same look that's on my face, that once a year where we get to go to that warehouse, and neither of us have ever been able to talk the owner into letting any of those games walk out, although he has said multiple times it's going to happen eventually. We go there, and it's like the kids at the Willy Wonka chocolate factory. And if and when I ever make it out to West Texas, I've been to Texas plenty of times, but never been out Kay's way. If I get to waltz through his warehouse, you know, it wouldn't be practical for me to bring anything home with me, but I feel like I'll have a similar sort of experience of just walking around, sticking my head inside these cabinets.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, you know what I would do? Liam knows what I'm talking about.
Probably could walk around and be like, man, you got a bunch of junk, dog.
You love looking around in a warehouse.
Oh,
When I
he's
went to pick up my
cards.
iRobot PCB, that was the biggest arcade warehouse I've ever seen.
This one's got termites.
It's like 4 stories of games. And just
It was like pallet racks?
No, just a building 4 stories tall, full of games.
Wow.
Freight elevator?
Yeah, it was crazy. But it was just a really cool experience to go and see all that. Not that I would want pretty much any of those machines, but still cool.
Yeah, like how many of those games in your project collection? Let's bring this back. I'm enjoying making fun of you for this. How many of those games in your project queue are actual bangers? Like, let's be honest.
Talking to me or Charlie?
Charlie.
Bangers, let's see.
Hold on. You've got your spreadsheet, right?
I got it open right in front of me.
Right in front of you. Okay, lightning round. No one's stopping. We're gonna go right through this. You give the title. We're gonna thumbs up or thumbs down it. Okay.
All of them, or just the ones I think are bangers?
What, 36?
All right,
let's go.
So the projects, Missile Command Cocktail,
good
banger.
No, you're not allowed to rate. Just give us the name. We'll give you the rating. Let's do this.
A second Robotron.
Okay,
Golden Tea 99.
Boom.
Banger.
Oh.
Moon Patrol Cocktail.
Yes.
My Cubert, not the one that I sold
Fair.
/ traded.
Fair.
Great.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Defender. Jungle King. A second Joust cabinet that I'm turning into a J-Rock Multi-Williams for a friend. I have
Arguable.
Outrun Cabaret, Outrun Mini. Quarterback, which I actually bought.
No. Hey, no.
Banger.
Keep going. Keep
It's
going.
going to be delivered on
No
Saturday.
justification. This is a long list. Let's
Wait, he's got to tell the story.
I don't want.
I'm not
the
even
story.
halfway done. I'm not even halfway done.
Going.
A second Outrun Mini.
Banger again.
Chicken Shift. Banger.
That's a good one.
Yes, that moved to the front of your queue.
That's a
Irish
really good
Food
one.
Fight. Banger.
That's pretty good.
That's a good one.
Kicks, which I really like. I'm very happy I have that.
That's a decent game. Yeah.
Hold on, is an Irish food fight? Do you just throw potatoes or
something like that? And
it's got a
corned beef
cup
hash.
holder for a Guinness. Keep going.
A Ms. Pack Mini. I don't really need that.
banger?
No, yeah. Hey, you can pitch that out the door now. Put a red line on it on the thing. Let's go. Keep moving.
The Termite Bubbles.
Yeah, nope.
Yeah, let's keep that. I don't care how many bugs.
Another a Pac-Man Upright. A game that I haven't said what it is. Definitely a banger. And this is the one that I found.
Stop explaining it. Go through the list.
He has to preface this with the stuff.
No, he doesn't.
This is the one that I found.
Him.
2 rounds of 38 special inside the cabinet. The Battlezone Cabaret banger.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're getting to the warehouse raid. Thief. NATO Defense,
Uh,
Space Invaders Deluxe,
uh,
Enigma, Sonic Asteroids. The Sonic Asteroids is going to Arcade Jason at some point.
Okay.
2 Pac-Man minis. Popeye. I am happy I have a Popeye.
Okay, Popeye is a
And-
decent game.
And the Wheels, the Midway Wheels game, the 70s racing game.
Uh-huh.
And then the 2 games that I'm picking up, I would consider, one is definitely a banger, and one is a banger adjacent.
Banger and a half.
All right. Anyway,
So which of these am I going to get rid of?
Yeah.
all the
Pac-Man.
the plural. That's just too much.
Well, you
Bandai
got to
Namco.
fix and sell the Pac-Man so you can use that money to buy more projects. Come on,
See,
man.
Yeah. There we go.
Modern
I've got-
problems.
Funding.
Oh my god. So when are you gonna get to them?
6 projects in the garage right now.
6.
6. I've got a space shuttle pinball.
Nice. Yeah.
You've had that forever.
I've had that forever, but it's starting to move.
It's a gorgeous, fun.
I've got a Cubert
Stupidly
that's
good
going to be a Cubert Cubes.
Yep.
Banger.
Got a Firefox that I've got plans for. It's not
Yep.
a
You already
Firefox.
have
though.
one.
I've got a Konami Aliens in a dedicated cabinet.
Yep.
And I've got that Cloak and Dagger / Agent X Cabaret, which I would like to move on.
Yep.
And I've got a Wizard of War cabinet
Ooh.
that I'm
That's a
not
good
sure what
game.
I'm going to do with.
What did that one get converted to?
The Wizard of War, I have no idea. It was completely empty when I got it.
Sam, take note. Liam's doing it right. Charlie, take note. Liam's doing it right. Every single game on that list is a banger. Or like has some
Or
like,
banger adjacent.
or banger adjacent, or like has some like even if it had some kind of like childhood nostalgia, heartstring kick to it, that would still work, right?
And we do have one more machine coming in that has not arrived yet, but is definitely very cool.
Go on.
You know what it is. I told you before.
Oh, yeah.
But it hasn't arrived yet. Definitely a cool game, though.
Yep.
Would you like me to tell you all of my projects? Because I can't.
No.
Let's save that for another episode where the entire episode is
It's just me
reading a
listing
list.
all
We
my
could-
projects because I don't have them written down and I don't know what they are.
This is where we would do a 30-second ad read for Kay's business, rather than the whole list. If you would like, if you're in West Texas and you would like an arcade game,
If you'd like me to just read off a list of broken machines that it will take me years to get to,
I have
call
2.
dibs.
I have 2. I have a Konami cabinet, a 4-player cabinet that was an NBA Jam. Someone had converted it to an NBA Jam. We had it on location for about 4 years at the bar. It will be going back to being a Konami cabinet. I'm going to be making it a 4-player X-Men because that game, as the kids say, slaps. Makes money. And it's just a
Get
fun
the
game.
6-player version.
Yeah, your 6-player is gorgeous, but I don't need a casket. Like that's like I love that, but I also like they're uncommon. If I had space for one at the bar or here, I would totally do that. So I have that, and then I have a Rockola Fantasy cabinet that had been converted with laminate on the sides, like a horribly ugly but well done multicolor laminate job to the sides. That will become a nibbler. That's it. I won't take it unless it's something that's like something I really want, like on my list, which pretty much ice cold beer. I know we'll talk about this, Kay. We'll figure it out one day.
You keep saying that, but I'm totally
know.
going to give it to somebody else.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah. If it's West Texas, I'm in Alberta.
Now do pins, Chance.
That's a really easy. If it was pinball machines, that's a very, very easy list.
Junkyard, Jurassic Park, Mushroom World, and Whitewater.
You're looking at my
Zaps
club
right-
list. You know,
Yeah.
you're missing a couple. I actually played a really
Barbed
lovely
wire.
Whitewater. Oh God, barbed wire is horrible. Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I've had
I
one
would
of those.
love a Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Same, but they cost $10,000.
That is also the reason why.
Raven.
Yeah.
I have a Raven.
So I'm getting rid of one of my pins. I'm getting rid of my Eldorado. And I think that if I was ever to add one more pinball anytime soon, it would be a Data East Jurassic Park, both because my wife loves that game and loves Jurassic Park, as do I.
And because I have one and you can't have it.
That too. No, but there's an ad. So Jurassic Park and my Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends pin, they came out one after the other. So there's an ad when you're sitting there on attract mode on my Rocky and Bullwinkle. An ad for the Jurassic Park pin shows up on the DMD with some sound. It's great. So, and then I think on Jurassic Park, it's Last Action Hero. There's an ad for Last Action Hero.
Liam, how come you didn't tell me the Tetris cocktail is on your VAPS wanted?
It's pretty low priority. Besides, I have too many cocktails right now.
Because because I've got mine at my office at work, and when it overstays its welcome and I need to replace it with something else, I'll have your people talk to my people.
I'm looking specifically for one in a Midway cabinet.
So it's a Dynamo HS6, which is very similar to a Midway cabinet. Same coin door, same like cabinet design. Not exactly the same, but I would say 80% the same.
Maybe. Not now, though.
What about UK? How is it different when this is a business? What's the difference between a business and a mental illness?
Whenever, I mean, you probably have to have a mental illness to start this as a business to begin with. I don't know. Whenever I saw this topic, I figured I probably wouldn't have a whole lot to add to it just because it's like, I'm not hoarding. I am going to get to this stuff eventually. And I'm not buying too much because this is inventory. This is stock. And I do have the space. I've got a 4,000 square foot warehouse. Like, I do have the space to store this stuff. And I am going to get to it eventually. Or even if I don't, like, this is inventory that I can use to trade for other things or eventually sell off. Like, even I have to sell off stuff at like an auction at some point to just try to liquidate my assets. I could do that too. So this is inventory. So it's not hoarding. It's something I can eventually do something with.
Yeah,
so.
and you can use that justification because you are a business first and foremost, right?
And even the money that I spend on these things is like, that's a tax write-off. You know, that's inventory that's cost.
Yeah,
I write that off.
Yeah.
So yeah, even the money that I spend on these things is justifiable. Plus,
It's your vocation, not your avocation.
Yeah. Plus, I'm divorced, so I don't have to justify it to anybody anyway. So.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I read all the lines that are in our notes here, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't apply to me. That doesn't apply to me. That doesn't apply to me. Yeah, I got nothing. So.
Just think of what the three of us would be able to accomplish if we had spouses that were as supportive as Sam.
Just think about how much you could justify everything that you do if you turn this into a business.
All those things combined, and no kids, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I also have no children.
Yeah.
How far could we push this?
No. Yeah. So Vanessa and I are dinks. We're dual income, no kids. And
she doesn't do cap kits.
No.
She doesn't fix games with you.
She doesn't.
We live within our means on this one.
We all are on different ends of that side of the spectrum. Like, we're very, very lucky, very gracious that our partners are accepting of what makes us happy, and in some cases help us with this hobby. If anyone would like any advice on where to find a good divorce lawyer, no, I'm kidding.
Welcome to Love Line.
What
I'm saying, just think, how far could this be pushed?
Well,
how far could we push this?
Even in that case, my ex was very accepting of this. Like, she was supportive of me starting the business in the first place.
It's got you out of the house.
I don't know if we're talking about
because I worked from home.
I wouldn't want to push anything.
Whenever I first started the business, I was working out of the garage, so it didn't get me out of the house. I worked from home. I stayed at home more often.
Fair. But like, here's my overarching ethos of this, okay? If you're being responsible with your money, if you are not spending, like, if you don't have an addiction. Let's be honest, like an addiction to just going out and getting that next game. And it's on Craigslist. I got to get it. As long as the rent bills, mortgage, everything is paid, right? As long as there's food on the table, as long as there's gas in the car, as long as you pay attention to your partner's needs, at the end of the day, anything beyond that you want to go out, unless you're like saving up for something big, anything beyond that, if you want to go out because it makes you happy, it makes you content, and it does the thing, it's a positive benefit.
It's not hurting anybody.
It's not hurting anybody. I've had friends that are stuck in that. They're like, I'd really like to buy that, or I'd really like to do this thing, but I can't because the now ex-wife, it's like she won't let me. I'm like, why won't she let you? Have you had a very open and honest conversation? Because you're a responsible adult and you do responsible things with your money, but you're not allowed to go out and buy a new video game console or pick up this X hobby that you've always wanted to do. People in their own right, in a good, healthy, happy relationship, should be allowed to do what makes them happy.
It's very simple. If you can pay your bills,
yeah,
and you are still making it to Little Jimmy's baseball games, and you can make it to the fridge because there's not, a Pac-Man blocking the door because there's still space.
Yeah.
If she won't let you get the game still, then, divorce her is what we're saying.
Yeah.
That is the message that we're trying to get across.
Unless you're worried about losing half your collection to her.
That's why you divorce her first, so that you can buy the games afterwards.
Yeah, good point.
That's what the poker cabinets are for.
Eric Coyne says, my wife has horses so I can get whatever I want. Absolutely. That is the only positive.
Compromise.
Only positive for dating or marrying a horse chick. Trust me, I know I have in the past, and I grew up on a ranch. I am a child of a horse family, so I totally understand.
Did you get kicked in the head?
I've been kicked by horses a couple of times, actually. Like, no joke. Like
in the head?
No. I've been kicked across a stall, but yeah, I was 12. But yeah, don't let the, I am a country, boots, the hat, everything. You be surprised.
Calgary Stampede.
Yeah, gotta love it. Greatest show on earth.
So who out there thinks we have mental illnesses, and who wants to share their own mental illness experience in all of this? Tell us in the live chat. Wayne's been thrown by a cow before. Hired Gun says, I let my wife know first day I met her. I like my 22 years later, we're still going. In fact, she suggested I get a few game machines.
He partakes in the devil's lettuce.
Just wants you out of the house.
There you go. Okay. Let's see. I mean, and just imagine if, I think we all have some pinball machines, but just imagine if we were pinball people, the amount of money we would have. If my 2 pinball games, I've spent more on those 2 games than my entire 60 plus arcade machines, video games that I've had.
Okay. I will say this about pinball people, because if you want to talk about mental illness, here's what I don't understand. All the ads that I see for machines for sale, anytime I see one of the newer pinball machines with an ad for sale, it's like one of the newer Sterns that's come out within the last couple months. It's like, okay, here's the new, here's the Godzilla that came out a few months ago. Here's for sale.
Years.
Okay, it's John Wick, whatever, something that's come out recently.
Yeah.
They always put down how many plays it has.
Yeah.
And it's always an exceptionally low number. Be like, I bought
62.
this new. It's like, I bought this new home use only. It's got like 132 plays on it, and I'm selling it for X amount. And I'm just like,
yeah, it's a different world. And there's 2 levels of mental illness when it comes to pinball people. There are the people that are in that camp that just buy and flip and trade and sell. And that's fine. But then we've seen this actually in our local collective here, because we have this big local, 80, 90 people local pinball collective, the league that, Josh and I used to play in. There are some people in that league I'm not going to name any names, but they are the type of person that medically have in the past suffered from an addiction. One used to be an alcoholic, as an example, no longer drinks, just drinks water when they show up at the event. And they literally now have that part of their brain that was wired for an addiction to whatever vice it was, is now wired to pinball. And there is, hot take here, there is a limit when you watch them compete and play. There is a limit to how far some of these people will go. I've seen people drain a ball and lose a score, and it's like ball 2. It doesn't matter. You can trust me. You can come back on ball 3, drain the ball, turn around, and horse kick a game in a tournament. Like it's
this wasn't one of your games, was it?
No. This was at a tournament a number of years ago. Again, won't name any names, but like I've seen this. Like
Josh Odie Brown.
No, it wasn't Josh. Josh and I, like, we've had some very good conversations about this. We know people who have legitimately an addiction to pinball. There's something about pinball that I look at it like this. You can either be an arcade person or a pinball person, or like someone like Josh and I, where we're pretty much in the middle. We're a good chunk of both, right? But I've seen some people that have the depths of it. I've seen marriages and relationships like end because of the pinball community. I've seen like just some of these people are like lovely people. Before I get myself into trouble, lovely people.
Not all that different from arcades. Arcades is the gateway drug for pinball.
Not necessarily, because I know some people don't want to. I would say that those 3 buckets are distinct buckets. You're either on here, or you're a little bit of both. And I just there's this addiction on the pinball side of things that, like, some of those guys I've seen, some of those gals I've seen, like, I mean, love them to bits, and some of them do really well on it that haven't fallen into the addiction thing. They've made it their hobby. They've gone really far. They've collected dozens and dozens of games, but they're not like super crazy. They're realistic with what they want to pick up, even if it's a $2,000 to $12,000 game.
There's not that many $2,000 games anymore.
Well, no, yeah, older EMs.
Yeah, you're picking up a lot of EMs, maybe. For
yeah,
2,000.
or like titles that don't really resonate. Like obviously, like an Indiana Jones, a Whitewater, a Black Lagoon. Those are going to go for big bucks, especially during pinflation, right? But like a Playmatic Chance.
Well, going back to something you said a minute ago, Kay, right? Like people selling these pins, these new pins with ridiculously low play counts on them. Do people who collect cars do this too, right? Do they like buy a car and then sell it with 800 miles?
I can't understand the concept of wanting to buy a pinball machine that you haven't played.
It doesn't matter.
No, I don't understand it either.
And it's because people it's still pinball.
The Stearns.
Or not pre-order, but like when the LEs for Stearns come up.
I don't even pre-order video games.
Well, no, that's fair. But okay, here's the thing. In a lot of cases, when Stern announces a new game, the LEs are already sold. It's the same with supercars and hypercars. Those, McLaren or Ferrari or Bugatti, they make like 300 of a specific new version of a car.
It doesn't matter what's sold initially because they're all going to be listed on Pinside with 23 plays.
But here's the thing: whenever they release those cars, they probably run. Whenever they release those pins, they don't. They're going to come out with all kinds of revisions and fixes because they're broken out of the box. But you never buy the first run of a pin because there's something wrong with every single one of them.
I disagree. Like, I can name a bunch of pins that were good out of the box. Like Ghostbusters was a great pin.
Say how many Stearns were good out of the box. Maybe some other companies, but a lot of Stearns are like, okay, yeah. So this left ramp has an issue that you're going to have to fix as soon as you get out of the box.
Yeah.
And here's a software update you're going to have to do because it's going to crash if you try to play it.
Stern quality has fallen in the last decade. I will be the first person to go on record to say that Stern quality has taken a kick to the teeth because I think that Stern doesn't care.
A horse kick across the stall.
Right? Stern Stern, I feel, actively goes out and looks at all of their vendors and say, okay, who can, like, if it's like bulb sockets or balls or play fields, who can we go to that's cheaper to the point where it's cheap enough that people won't complain when they get their games? Every once in a while, you see dimpled balls, dimpled play fields, or like defective pinballs, or bad sockets, or clear coat that Stern has a problem with, and then they, they do a full recall. But how many other times have they like completely dropped their pants on a supplier just to go with the cheapest thing? And I get the argument that it keeps pinball alive, but you're just pumping out crap at this point.
Or what about the toppers? They sell for $1,000, and it's probably a bomb of 40.
But there's a market for that. And it's the same thing with bigger, higher end $12,000, $14,000 pins. There is a market. There is this group of people that have that kind of money, that will spend that kind of money. They'll maybe keep it in new in box. They'll maybe put it in their basement, put 1,000 plays on it. Or maybe they'll put 50 plays on it, put it up on Craigslist, and then sell it as 50 plays. Those people are there. That's another league. That's a whole nother thing. And I get it. And to answer Kay's question about like, well, they've never played it before, why would they pay for it? Because it's still pinball. It's still glass and a wood box with a metal ball flying around hitting targets.
But it's not good.
It might not be good. It might not have flow. It might not have like good rules to it, but it's still pinball. And they're taking that risk.
Did you see the thread where somebody just completely dragged the P3 multimorphic system? It was a good read, just talking about how that machine was completely under-engineered, could not survive in a public location.
Oh, no.
However, it was great for people who wanted to have it in their basements.
Yeah, we've got a friend of ours who has one, and he loves it. And it's great. Like, it's a wonderful thing. But hot take, the same as with Spooky. Spooky pinball machines, if you're putting it on location, arguably hot garbage. Arguably hot garbage. We've had 3 Spooky pinball machines on location at Pin Bar. We will never, ever again have a Spooky pinball machine. They're great. Like Rick and Morty, I would say in my top 5 list of pinball machines of all time, Rick and Morty is on that list. And that's because like theme and gameplay, it's so good.
What? You're surprised, Charlie, that Chance got a bad take?
The theme is, I guess the theme is cool. Like,
the theme is cool. Okay, look.
Rick and Morty is a great pinball machine, and Miss Pac-Man is a terrible arcade game.
I think I walked away from
Rick
and, like in the middle of a game.
I'll explain why I'm coming at this, okay? Because like Rick and Morty,
even Scooby-Doo is better.
Look, I've got this thing, and I think one of my big gripes with Stern is that they'll just slap an IP on any whitewood there is, right? They're just going to go, okay, we're going to make this, this. Whereas Jersey Jack will go out of his way to make sure that the gameplay elements have something to do with the theme. Like on that list of some of the greatest games of all time is Wizard of Oz.
Does the ball turn into a pickle or something?
No, but like Wizard of Oz has all of these toys and things on the playfield and the sub-play.
I like
field.
Wizard of Oz. I like Wizard of Oz.
I've walked away from playing Wizard of Oz.
But
I like Dialed In.
But Dialed In, another one. The theme, it's a little bit harder with Dialed In because it's in like original IP. But where
one
the
of Lawler's weakest games.
Agreed. Where the theme and the gameplay intersect. And I think that's what makes Jersey Jack, other than their like build quality for the most part, is pretty darn good. I think, or even the same way it can be said with what was it, Pulp Fiction from CGC.
That's okay. I like that.
Right, great game, right? But Stern will slap any IP on any old whitewood and then call it a game, and then with inferior parts in it, and then just pump them out. Right, and then crank the price like
Spaceballs, the movie, the pinball machine.
That's great, but
I can't believe they haven't done that. By the way,
going back to
that would sell.
Going back to my hot take, it's the same with the Big Lebowski. The Big Lebowski's gameplay and the theme, that right there for me is the greatest of all time. You've got the bowling lane in the bottom, you've got the car up top that you got to bash. The gameplay and the theme, when they intersect, it's a great game. And I think Rick and Morty is up there. But I think the build quality of a...
So wait. What's in your top? You Big Lebowski and Rick and Morty? What are the other 3?
Well, my top 3 of like four, I guess, of new pins.
Oh, new pins, not just pins in general.
Well, no, pins in general. Let's be honest, pins in general.
Okay.
When it comes to what I say is a good pinball machine, it has to have that.
No. Just list the other three.
The gameplay and the theme. So in no particular order, because I could never rate them in particular order. Rick and Morty, Big Lebowski, Wizard of Oz. Arguably, if it wasn't such a piece of like hot garbage, the Aliens pin would have been so good on this list. But they suck, and they suck to work on. And then I think Pulp Fiction. I think Pulp Fiction is a very solid game.
Trash takes.
But why? Like, what's better?
I've played all these games and come away with the feeling of, wow, I was so excited to play this game. It is terrible, except for Lebowski, and it was okay.
But are you?
Did it have the carpet? Did it have the rug?
It did not have the rug.
Yeah, they don't. They only did that on the
Pulls the whole game together.
But like,
yeah.
Alien.
Yeah, you didn't get the
was
full
one of the
experience.
most. I've played both versions, the highway version and the US version of the Aliens pin, the Ellen Ripley whatever special edition. I am a huge Alien franchise fan.
Yeah,
massive fan. I was so excited to play this game. I really wanted that game to be good and go on our list because huge Alien.
It's
fan
amazing
to the max, right?
Yeah.
I have the Alien arcade machine. I want to get the Alien 3-1. I really wanted to include this Alien pin. I played it and it sucks.
Oh, dude, it was hot garbage. The original ones, like the first ones that were released at Pin Bar when we first opened like 6 years ago, we had one of the first ones off the line from Highway. It was a great idea. Like, hey, let's be able to pull the side art out so you can upgrade the game. You know, like it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah,
but
all of them, all the
Queen's
different
Head
Alien games
didn't work.
Trash.
The screen
Stern's-
in the playfield was a cool idea, but the ball would hit it if it wasn't aligned and would bash the glass.
Stern's going to announce Alien Romulus.
Oh, but okay. I'll give it to Stern that they're starting to pick themes and IP that aren't like dad rock bands, right? Like in
Taylor
the last, a Taylor Swift pin would probably end up in our house. Let's be honest. My wife is a huge Taylor Swift. I don't want to say
Oh, we
Swiftie,
know.
but like, yeah, but not everybody does. No, that would come into our house. She would go out of her way to get it. But like, I feel that Stern to redeem themselves lately, like Jaws looks like an interesting game. It plays pretty good, but you can't get the good looking, but you can't get the LE because they're already sold out because these pinball guys, the ones that have copious amounts of disposable income, they buy it, they hoard it, they maybe don't play it. That's one of the things I love about like Nitro and our local collective is they bring these games out so we can play them.
The only recent Stern that I've played and thought was better than okay was the Stranger Things version, the top tier version.
And see, I didn't
love that. Yeah.
I thought the Turtles was okay.
Jaws.
I did like Turtles.
Godzilla was okay.
Godzilla
was
Godzilla's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just because they licensed that song, right? Or you had the Japanese.
Go
and the
Godzilla.
English. Go so good.
But yeah, if I were to rate top pins, I'm pretty sure all the pins I would list would be from the 90s.
Well, but they have their place as well. Like my list of that Charlie already rattled off. Like your Whitewater. Whitewater is one of the greatest pins of all time, right? I would say Rocky and Bullwinkle, of course, is one of the greatest pins of all time. I would say one of the worst pins of all time. You want a hot take other than Terminator 2? Addams Family. Addams Family is a piece of garbage.
That's enough of that.
Yeah, especially considering that the pin that he really wants, the Jurassic Park, is just Addams Family's playfield mirrored. It's the same game.
He's going to have to donate to get back on the show.
He's been muted. All right.
But
Not
Addams,
muted.
but I don't understand why is Addams Family like the movie was okay. It was
Let
pretty
me ask you the
solid.
same
The
question,
movie is
considering that you're a fan
fantastic.
of Jurassic Park pinball, right?
No, but hold on. Addams Family as a game versus the theme. Okay, so the theme is solid. The the movies plural,
Yeah.
some of his best, some of those actors, some of the best film they've ever created was the Addams Family franchise.
Uh-huh.
But the gameplay in Addams Family sucks. If you get and you can't disagree with me on this. If you get an Addams Family that's not set up exactly perfect, that game is the most ruthless and brutal game to play in the history of pinball.
Yeah, it's ruthless, it's brutal, and it's awesome.
Just because it's popular doesn't make it right. Like Candle in the Wind was what
I have one. I play it every day. It is brutal.
You don't play it every day.
I do play it every day.
Yeah, but it's probably set up pretty good. But like I've been to a bar with like nobody cared and didn't set it up properly, and it just drains. That's the reason why I hate
your argument is the pin is only good if it's
my argument is
crappy enough to work if it's set up poorly.
A good pinball, it shouldn't matter if it's a good pinball machine, if it has that intersection of theme and gameplay, if it doesn't matter how generous or whatnot it's set up, it should still play really good. It should have good flow.
So your argument is a good pinball machine is one that's basic enough that if it's broken, you can't tell.
Yeah,
I did not say basic.
That's what it sounds like.
No, because Wizard of Oz is the least basic game on the planet. That game has more things going on in it.
Extremely forgettable.
Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka is a solid game, but it is forgettable. Anyway.
How can you forget about the everlasting Gobstopper?
I went to the Jersey Jack factory just before that was announced. And like we got to see Pirates of the Caribbean for Germany. I think they were making a batch to ship. We got to see that on the line. And just to see like the care and attention that they were putting into the design and, the thought behind it, it didn't feel like they were just trying to push crap out to make a buck. They were actually interested in making a good game. Whereas like to go back to it, like Stern doesn't care. They just
guess who's never getting invited to the Stern factory.
Oh no. Now don't get me wrong. There's some great people that work at Stern. There are some wonderful human beings that work at Stern.
But they just
get it. You don't like Gary. You don't like Gary.
No. What I'm saying is Stern needs to do better. Stern needs to, if the game is only worth $6,000, charge $6,000 for the game. If you're going to make a pro level game, right? Stop jacking up the price $300, $400, $500 every other release, but making the parts cheaper and crappier parts. I don't know what it is about Chicago gaming. Their quality is beyond. Like, as someone who's seen these games just take an absolute teeth kicking, the quality of stuff that comes out of Chicago gaming is amazing. Anyway. Tales of Arabian Nights. That's another good game.
That is a good game.
Arcade Alex just mentioned that in the thing. Tales of Arabian Nights. Great game. Johnny Mnemonic, Junkyard, great games.
Roller games.
Mnemonic is pretty okay. Roller games.
I like roller games.
Flintstones was a great game until the designer turned out to be a pedo.
Bonsai Run.
Bonsai Run is it's a Lawlor game. It's basically THQ nominated a Lawlor game from the 90s.
What's the one where you start with a 3-ball multi-ball? It's like a motocross game.
I don't know.
It's really uncommon, super uncommon. Demolition Man, Josh. Yeah, Demolition Man is a good game.
Demolition Man is a good.
Apollo 13 is a good time.
Apollo 13's
13 multi-ball.
Twister is a good time. I just helped
all of the tornado themed pinball machines are good.
I just helped a buddy do decals on his getaway, the getaway, like High Speed 2. That's a good time. Like when you get the
Champion Pub.
Champion Pub's great. Safecracker.
Played it.
Safecracker's
won a token. Game. It didn't dispense a token.
Yeah, it's because the owner's cheap. Yeah, I would say those are all, and even some of the older stuff, like was it Haunted Mansion? Black Hole. Black Hole's a solid
In
game.
Haunted House.
Black
Haunted
Hole's
House.
good.
Yes, Haunted House. Thank you.
I've got a. I have a Bride of Pinbot and I have a Cyclone. I want a RoboCop.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings is a fantastic pin.
The Stern one or the Smog, the Jersey Jack one?
The Stern one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was back when Stern actually made good stuff.
Yeah.
We've got the Addams
Street Fighter
Family,
2,
the Space Shuttle, and the Space Station. And if we were to get another pin, we'd want it to be Revenge from Mars or Judge Dredd.
Revenge from Mars and Attack
not
from
Spy
Mars.
Hunter
No, not Spy Hunter.
or Street Fighter 2.
F-14's a good game.
I
Blackwater.
had a Street Fighter 2. It
Yes.
does not have good replay value.
What is it? Blackwater 300 is the one I was talking about, or Blackwater 500 or something like that. Blackwater is, I think, one of the best and underrated pinball machines ever. It's just different.
Gorgar.
Inco fell in love with Ben's Swords of Fury.
Swords of Fury is good.
She really liked
Swords
that
of
thing.
Fury is a weird one.
Yeah.
I know
Medieval
Sam
Males.
would love to have a project Swords of Fury because there was a conversion Buffy the Vampire Slayer pinball, which was done
nice.
on a Swords of Fury base.
So Ben has tricked out pretty much all of his pins with LED kits and usually a lot of mods and sometimes like some sound mods and extra like bass speakers and stuff like that. Usually he's tricked them all out. But his Swords of Fury, he still has kept incandescence in just because it really fits the theme.
It
to
ties
get
the room together.
that darkness with the whole dungeon crawling kind of theme going, and it works. It really kind of fits with that pen, especially
Yeah.
surrounded by all the bright flashing lights of all the other pins, all the deep bass of all the other things that he's got going on, and like the modern like sound bites coming from all these other pins. Like his TX sector has got like crazy like sound mods going on with it, but then you've got just the Swords of Fury that's all original and it's just dark and just foreboding, and it works. I like it.
And there's something to be said about some other classics, like some older stuff like Taxi. Taxi's just a one diner. Those are just great games, right? Bad Cats is one of the
Taxi.
best.
I like Taxi.
We have a buddy actually just redid a Taxi. Like literally every single screw, every single bolt, every single piece of everything is polished, completely restored, immaculate. And I think Josh has the high score on it now too. We went over to Adam's house and Josh like decimated the high score on his games. And I'm like, oh, the poor guy. Yeah, I could rant about this for days.
Be my guest.
Well then.
Is that it? Are we done?
Yeah, otherwise we're just going to
Sounds
keep
like it.
naming pinball machines.
I think so. I think we're at that part.
Evil Knievel.
That's an okay
Elton
game.
John. Brown
The $6
Cowboy.
million man.
The new Elton John is good.
Silver
It's good.
Ball.
Is it better than Captain Fantastic though?
No.
I mean, that is the #1 rated EM of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Not Space Mission.
Canada Dry
That-
is probably one
That
of the
Bronco.
best. Broncos garbage. Broncos
All right.
hot garbage.
Yes, I agree with Arcade Eric. Star Trek: The Next
Star Trek: The
Generation.
Next Generation. Yeah,
Yeah, I worked
Okay.
on one yesterday or day before.
nice.
So did Mecca. Cool. So I think that'll wrap up our main topic. So we can go to the finale part of the episode where we go back around the horn and we have our closing updates. So talk about what's coming next. What are you working on next? What parts do you need? What are you looking for? What's the next bit of content coming out on your channel, starting with Kay?
So you keep dumping all over Raven. I actually need something for a Raven pen. On the back box, there's a plastic that sits around the display. So I've got the Translite for the back box, but I need the plastic that sits around the display. I need that. So if anyone's got that, I don't know what it looks like because I don't have it, but I've got the display. I just don't have whatever plastic sits around it. So I need one of those, whatever that looks like. So whatever cosmetic piece that is, I am missing that. That's really the only part that I have. I normally don't have any parts that I'm looking for, but I do need that. As for what's coming up next on my channel, you can find me on TikTok at prime_arcade. Some of the stuff I mentioned earlier, Popeye, the Sega Turbo, the Area 51, the Asteroids Deluxe, I will probably be doing videos on all of those repairs. And you'll see it there first, and probably there only, because I did notice the other day, I usually cross-post my stuff on YouTube, but I saw that most of the stuff that whenever I cross-posted on YouTube, it's of horrible quality. So I'm probably going to stop doing that because it just doesn't look right. So since I'm not doing it for the right orientation, since it's vertical instead of horizontal, if it's not a short enough video to be considered a YouTube short, I'm probably not going to post it on YouTube because it doesn't look right. So I'm not going to bother. I don't really have any subscribers there anyway, so they don't get any views unless it is a short. If it's a short, it usually gets a decent amount of views, but if it's a long form video, no, I get like 30 views at most. If it's a short, I get a few hundred. So if it's 2 minutes or less, I'll cross post it. If it's not, I'm not going to bother.
They did extend the length of YouTube Shorts recently.
It's like 2.5 minutes now.
Yeah,
I forget what it is. 10.
Yeah, I think it's like
longer than 30
really?
or 60 seconds. Yeah.
I think it's 2.5 minutes. I think that's what I've noticed.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that nobody has mentioned that Kay and I are members of the Teal Shirt Club. There you go.
Congratulations.
Turquoise for life.
What's the next video you're going to release at 2 in the morning Mountain Time?
Yeah. What is that, like 3 or 5 in the morning your time?
I don't know. I'm asleep.
Josh and I have a few things. We have a list going of some videos that we want to do. We still owe a BitKit video. We're working on that. We've kind of got an idea of what we're going to do. But as far as the Canadian Arcade goes, we've got stuff planned. We're in the works. Other than that, like I've got some other projects. I got so much free time now. I might get a few more things done. Other than that, what I'm looking for parts, if anybody has, I know you've heard this is like a broken record. If anybody has a realistically decent priced Double Dragon for Play Choice 10, please let me know. Like a spare. Like
this is a common game.
This is
one
of
the most common.
Yeah. But like, if I can trade for something,
this is almost as common as saying, "Does anybody?" I'm really looking for Double Dragon on the NES.
It's just such a good game, and I'm not like I have to buy that now. I need that. No. If you have one and it's collecting, dust on your shelf, let me know.
If you got your hourly rate for all the time you've spent asking for a Double Dragon cart, you probably just have a Double Dragon cart by now.
I should probably get one before the next episode.
They're like what, $60?
$60 American is now like $150 Canadian, and plus with the tariffs and everything going back and forth, I think I'm going to have to pay for that coming over the border. I legitimately
well, then find one in Canada.
No, nobody cares.
And hey, just want to say what's up to Sean from Classic Arcade Repairs checking in. Yeah. He's going to go buy a copy of Super Mario Brothers on the NES tomorrow. Very rare, very sought after.
But to wrap it up for me, I'm one half, the lesser half of the Canadian Arcade. You can find
3/8.
3/8. What's that in metric? You can find us on the youtube.com/the Canadian Arcade. You can find us on Instagram under the.
Don't forget the //
the Canadian Arcade. And yeah, so we post things when we feel like posting things, and lately we've been posting things. So,
Liam, what's next?
Not much coming up the pike right now. Just lots of waiting. As far as parts I'm looking for, I would really love to find one joystick for Inferno. Just need one. That would be awesome, and then I could finish off the Inferno completely. Other than that, just moving along. So you can find us on YouTube under Retrobotics. Eventually, maybe someday, I'll make another video. So we'll see. Now,
have you seen, and maybe this might be more of Kay's sort of domain, TikTok, right? So there's a trend, and people are using, because I guess with TikTok there's almost like video memes that you can like green screen into your video, right, Kay? I don't know what they call it, but there's something like that, right? And the latest one I've seen is It's like an animation of these Dungeons and Dragons looking guys like summoning some sort of spirit, and they're like doing this dance and this chant. They're going like this, right? And like the joke is like, oh, me and my buddies trying to summon the missing 10 millimeter socket, out of the engine bay or
That's
whatever.
never gonna happen.
Liam should do that, but it's like they're trying to summon the United States Postal Service gods and finding the missing package that he's waiting for.
That's me. That's
rude.
mean.
Yeah,
Charlie.
We're all praying for it.
Your country's postal service is a joke.
But I don't think they even count it as lost until it's lost for 30 days.
Yeah, your country's postal
I
service.
was on the phone with them today, and they said I could put it in. So I'm gonna see if they.
Well, they didn't tell you where you could put it in. They told you where you could stick it. That's too.
Yeah,
it's taking the scenic route. It's like one time I had a package shipped from Peter. It went from Montana to Honolulu to Virginia.
Yeah, I know, but at least you had tracking, right? This thing was supposed to be here last week, and it's still showing in possession of USPS at its origin point. It is not.
I guarantee you, that's where it is.
That's probably
there.
I did order a package. I did order a package from pinballbulbs.com, and I got it 3.5 months later.
Yeah, I bet you what happened was somebody picked it up, they put it aside, and it's been sitting there. And one of these days, somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, that needs to go out." That's 100% what's happening.
I bought a carbon fiber cover for the suspension on my Formula 4 car tub. I bought it from a guy in Poland. It was here in 8 days. Western Canada, Poland to Western Canada, halfway across the planet. There is something fundamentally wrong with the United States Postal Service. I can get things from England in 3 days. I can't get things for more than a week and a half from the United States. Mind you, I'm not
UPS.
I'm not buying anything from the United States if I can help it now. So, hot take.
There we go. There we go. Sean from Classic Arcade Repairs is just telling us all the RAM he's bought. I actually just bought some RAM, and I can't get Arcade Parts and Repair to load. It was some really weird SRAM thing that I bought. Anyway, for me, Charlie from Overtime Arcade, if you're watching this right now, you're watching this on my channel. But plenty of folks also listen to the audio version, which again, day or so or a week or whatever after the video live stream, we upload an audio only version to basically all podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everything else. I mean, it goes to like 24 different things. It's got this auto, whatever. I got my recent order up, and it's still taking forever. So what's coming up next? I'm going to finish fixing that Amplifone monitor. I'm going to start that J-Rock Multi-Williams build. I want to get to the Moon Patrol cocktail and the Missile Command cocktail that I think I can get done pretty soon. And I know I mentioned this on the last podcast episode, which we did earlier in March, because guys, we are finally back on schedule. The holidays, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and all that threw us for a loop. We are officially back on schedule. This is our March episode. We're actually doing it in March, and then we'll just do one episode in April, so on and so forth. Typically, the end of each month is when we do episodes. But I even mentioned this last time. I just passed 6,000 subscribers. Thank you, on my channel, and I need to do a public live stream to celebrate that with some giveaways and stuff. So keep an eye out for that. We'll do that sometime in April. And I got the thing loaded, but it's still not going to come up. Anyway, enough with that suspense. Any final words? Any parting shots?
A message from the government of Canada.
Oof. Oh, thank you, Sean. All right. Oh, what was it? 6116, I think is what I bought. 6116 RAM in the wide version. Anyway, I think that'll do it. So as always, thanks for watching the Coin Jam podcast, and I will play us out with our theme song. Bye.